Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, my fellow Rezolvians. We have a big video for you today. We are going to explain, with the help of Raj on X. Shout out to you if you are watching this video. You're clearly long in Rezolve. Let us know down below in the comment section. Okay, show him some love if he does comment down there. But what we're going to do is take a look at this Google partnership that Rezolve has. Raji on X provided some great insight to this. This is something we talked about in the trading community yesterday. We talked about this in the video yesterday that was put out on this channel, where a lot of people have asked, like, oh my gosh, is Google not using Rezolve? And they are. I explained it like Google is creating the two-factor authentication process, if you will, to authenticate agentic retail commerce checkouts, okay? Now, that's part one. Rezolve did put out a press release today. It's not anything too significant. We'll take a look at that. That's number two. Number three, we're going to cover why Rezolve kind of sold off a little bit today. At the time of recording this video, the stock is down about 2.87%, but why I'm expecting that is going to sharply reverse course. Why I think a large upside move is coming for Rezolve, but also for the broader markets. Okay, so that's the third thing. Fourth thing we're going to cover is my position in Rezolve. Okay, how many shares do I own? How many thousands of dollars do I have in the stock? I'll just tell you it's over six figures if this is your first time to the channel. And I do think the long holders of Rezolve are about to be rewarded. Now, I am not a financial advisor. I'm not a financial planner. I could be wrong. Blah, blah, blah. You get the idea. Now, I want to go ahead and start this video off. Oh, yeah, it's one of my positions. By the way, this is public. I have the largest position in Rezolve in the public account. If you guys want to join public, I recommend that you guys do. Not too many things are a financial recommendation, but if you want the best brokerage out there, in my opinion, that link down below in the description of this video, sign up with public, deposit $1,000. They will give you $100 in your choice of free stock. You can go out and buy over 20 shares of Rezolve on the house's money. So check that out if you have not done so already. But Raji, let's start here. Okay, and I know people want to talk about why the stock sold off today, Rezolve, and we'll get into that. Don't worry. This is something that I think you really need to hear, because there's been more and more people that have talked about this. This news actually came out about a month ago, but agentic, commerce is just now starting to get a little bit more popular, right? It was only talked about on CNBC one time. Now, one time, from one person, one hedge fund manager said, you know where I'm really bullish? Agentic AI. There's going to be a wave of bullishness around agentic AI that Rezolve is going to ride, okay? It's going to ride it like a hurricane, for a really shitty analogy or example. And it's coming, okay? And funny, Rajay also points out where Rezolve AI was featured on the CNBC ticker tape today. I've actually seen Rezolve on the ticker tape a lot on CNBC. It's frequently, it's a frequent flyer on CNBC's ticker tape, okay? So just in case anyone didn't know. But this post from Raji says, Rezolve and the new Google AP2 solution, okay? It says, Rezolve agents will interact via Google Cloud's API, using AP2 to bridge intelligence, brainpower, and execution, smart pay rails, creating verifiable, low-friction retail experiences. Rezolve is in a strategic partnership with Google Cloud since November 20th, 2024, expanded in 2025. This means cross-sales activity. Google hosts Rezolve's Brain Suite on Google Cloud, which handles 1,000 plus TPS for peak retail events. Modular for B2B, Rezolve's enterprise retail clients. AP2 provides the foundational payment rail for Rezolve's agents to execute autonomous purchases, such as personalized shopping bundles or real-time bookings, which ensuring compliance, security, and interoperability. AP2 acts as a supportive layer for companies like Rezolve by standardizing agent to merchant and agent to agent payments, reducing fragmentation in AI-driven retail. Interesting protocols it says here: agent to agent, A2A, for communication, and model context protocol for context sharing, and additional lookups of interest to techies, stablecoins, Visa, similar technologies. Okay, he says additional details are public. So again, kind of like I explained in the last video, just a little bit more scientific explanation here. It's kind of like the two-factor authentication process, right? It's not that Google is trying to, take Rezolve's business. They're two different things. Now, this Google AP2 verification process has a bunch of backers. PayPal backs this, Visa, MasterCard, credit card companies. Okay, over 60 different companies are backing Google's AP2 approach, and that just means they're in favor of it, right? To put it as simply as possible. So that's number one we're going to cover, okay? I think there's a lot of, fear out there that is misplaced, because the stock has fallen, right? People see the stock that was $8.45 and they say, oh my gosh, what a shit company because XYZ, whether it's OpenAI's agentic, commerce solutions that they have recently offered, or it's this Google news. As the stock goes up, people are less fearful. As the stock falls, people are fearful, and people just find reasons to be fearful, okay? So if you've been a little nervous over this, or even competition coming for Rezolve, I think it's misplaced. I think the market for agentic AI is so large that, I use this example in one of the last videos, but, GPU market, for an example, or CPU market, okay? Intel had the number one spot there for a long time. And then they had a rival come along, AMD, and start eating away at that market, okay? That was a problem for Intel because they were the dominant player. At this point, nobody is the dominant player in agentic AI, okay? OpenAI is not, Rezolve is not. There's really no significant market leader that has a significant market share, okay? It's everyone's game to play in at this point, okay? And even then, the more business Rezolve does, the more established they become, the better their software stack becomes, the more, appeasing or appealing it might be to even acquire Rezolve at some point down the line. So if you're thinking about a worst case scenario, it could be a buyout of the company. I think the stock has a lot more potential as a standalone company, but, a buyout could happen at some point, okay? Dan Wagner has sold a lot of companies before, and just Dan Wagner alone owns 30% of shares, 20-some% of shares. It's a lot. He's basically going to have the say-so whether they sell the company. So just like I said when I first started covering Rezolve, that's one of the biggest risks to this story, okay, is actually a buyout. So that's number one. Number two, why did Rezolve sell off today? Okay, this is really going to be number two and number three, okay? Why Rezolve sold off and why the stock is about to rally. The reason it sold off is simple. Volatility is rising, okay? Look at the VIX EQ. Whoa, look at the VIX EQ, okay? Today, it went up again. Wall Street is fearful over single stocks. Just the fact of the matter. For an example, again, the VIX EQ hit a high of 70 back in April of 2025 when stocks fell 20%. Today, as markets are at all-time highs, the VIX EQ has rallied from 31.5 to 42. Okay? People are very nervous around single stocks. It's like a 30% increase for no reason as stocks continue to hit new all-time highs. Whereas the VIX hit an all-time high of 52 and it's back at 16.23. It's sitting at lows in 2025. So Wall Street is nervous around big tech earnings, which really in large part start tomorrow and after hours, and we're going to talk about this in the next video. But they're nervous about AI and hyperscaler guidance. So what are they doing? They're going out and they're shorting small cap AI stocks. They're hedging in small cap AI stocks. That's what they're doing. Okay? Once volatility collapses in single stocks, following big tech earnings tomorrow and after hours from Meta, Microsoft, Google, the three most important AI hyperscalers, okay, or Mag 7 companies in relation to AI, volatility is going to collapse. What's going to happen? Buying pressure is going to come into these areas of the markets like Rezolve, in which 99% of Wall Street is not expecting, okay? A lot of it's going to be algorithmically driven, just like the selling and the hedging is algorithmically driven today. Again, we're going to talk about this in a little bit more in depth in the next video, but essentially you can go out and short a stock like Rezolve for these big tech earnings because it's all about AI. That's the only thing that matters. If Meta, Microsoft, Alphabet come out and say, yep, we're done with AI, like AI stories played out, we're not going to build no data centers anymore, obviously you can see that sounds ridiculous. But if that's what they were to say, big tech's going to fall. You know, these stocks are going to fall a little bit. Are they going to fall like 20+%? Probably not. Even if they did, how much do you think Rezolve would fall on that? Rezolve would fall like 50% on that. That would be a black swan event. Okay? It's not going to happen. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a financial planner. Like, could it happen? Sure. Highly unlikely to happen, I should say. But that's why they're hedging in these smaller cap areas. Because if it does happen, it makes more sense to hedge in the smaller areas. So the day before a big event catalyst, like hyperscaler earnings tomorrow and the Fed, I'm not shocked to see a stock like Rezolve selling off. Yesterday, I said that Monday was probably going to be really green. Tuesday was going to be a mixed day. By definition, it looks like a mixed day today. Okay, and then Wednesday, up until 2:30, it's probably going to be a mixed day as well. Up until we get the Fed, 2:30, we get the report at 2, we get the Fed that speaks on the podium at 2:30. It's going to be a mixed day. Okay, it's not going to be straight up and to the right. It's not going to be an absolute disaster, okay? After the Fed, I'm expecting a rally into big tech earnings, and then things really get exciting into Thursday. Does Amazon matter for the AI story? Yes. But once you get Meta, Microsoft, and Google, you can kind of extrapolate what Amazon is going to look like, right? What Apple is going to tell you. So really, following earnings tomorrow, Thursday and Friday are shaping up to be a very strong day. And that's one, why Rezolve is selling off today, and the big catalyst that we have tomorrow. Now, Rezolve did put out a press release today. It's really not important what they said, okay? They put this out, this little video here that says proof of traction, proof of trust. Rezolve AI, SmartPay, and Truther are bringing financial innovation to a new frontier, connecting blockchain technology with real-world payments across Latin America. That doesn't tell us a whole lot. There's not a lot of specifics there. So, Wall Street just looks at that like another, press release that doesn't really matter. Now let's take a look at the option activity today in the stock, and lo and behold, not much. Now, on Tuesday, well, what was this, last Tuesday? You had two different trades totaling $102.66 thousand, 100% positive order value. It was a $15 call for March. Wall Street is bullish on the stock, right? Just look at this week's option activity. Open interest, almost 81% calls, 19% puts. For next week, 84% calls, 16% puts. Week after that, 80% calls. Week after that, 76% calls. Week after that, 89, almost 90% call activity, okay? Wall Street is bullish. You wouldn't necessarily think so if you look at the price action of the stock. But even if you look at short interest, only at 8.76%. If Wall Street was bearish, they would be shorting a lot more shares in Rezolve. I strongly believe it's mostly algorithmic at this point, right? That again, these risk catalysts have been with us and upcoming for a while now. Wall Street has been, hedging, getting ready for hyperscaler earnings for a while. They've been getting ready for the Fed for a while. And October is historically a pretty volatile month. So there's a lot of algorithmic selling happening right now. About 80% of all trading activity is done by algorithms, okay? Like, most of it is computers. And, well, that means tomorrow, once volatility collapses, you're likely to get a lot of inflows into the stock. Really, the bigger move will be Thursday, okay, after hyperscaler earnings. But I even think the Fed is going to unlock a lot of liquidity and buying pressure to come back into this market. And last but not least, my position in Rezolve in this portfolio. Current market value $65,847, currently up about $24,000, up 57%. Portfolio diversity 39.13%, average cost basis $2.97, and 14,100 shares. And this portfolio, $70,050 is the current market value. Unrealized return up $20,432, or up 41.2%. I recently did some buying in this portfolio. And that's why the average is a little bit higher and the return is a little bit lower. And we do have 15,000 shares in this portfolio, okay? So add 15,000 to 14,100. Oh, and I do still own the 15 Rezolve 250 calls for February 20th, okay? Current market value $3,720, total return 136%, up $2,145, okay? So when you add the two share positions together, plus the 1,500 share equivalent in options, looking at 30,600 shares, plus 1,000 shares in Webull and 1,300 shares in Thinkorswim. You're looking at a position still sitting at 32,900. I should probably just buy 100 shares, honestly. So like, we could just make it an even 33,000. We'll actually just go ahead and do that right now. We'll just go ahead and buy 100 shares of Rezolve. Just a little bit of technical difficulties there, but we bought 100 shares, so now we own 14,200 shares in this portfolio. That can just bump up the position another 100 shares, and boom, 33,000 shares total now in Rezolve times $4.67 gives us a total of $154,110. Okay, now do I plan on selling Rezolve? No, not anytime soon, at least. Not when Wall Street is completely ignoring the stock. When the stock gets hypey again and it gets closer to a fair value, a depressed fair value, anywhere between $15 and $20 a share, that's when maybe making the position free or something like that would make more sense. But as Wall Street is currently ignoring the stock, I do not plan on selling it. I don't care what happens to the stock from a price action perspective. That's why I've been buying the dip in Rezolve. So let me know your thoughts on this down below in the comment section. Hit the like button as well as subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. Check out that link down below in the description of this video if you have not done so. I do send out alerts every time I buy or sell anything. So got to go out and send a new alert for these 100 shares we just bought. But that is it, ladies and gentlemen. Stay tuned to the channel for the next video coming out. We're going to be going over all of this market stuff a little bit more in depth, volatility collapse, and ultimately what is coming over the next, I view, end of the year, 3 months or so for markets. So have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.